This gift lasts a year. The benefits last a lifetime.
This is CNN.
Very well. Stand by. Thank you. Stays clear.
I think we're moving now a little more firmly in terms of getting the people on the street. It's taken us a little longer than I had hoped. But we are moving now to sector off the area.
This is CNN's Daybreak with Cathy Marshall and Patrick Greenlaw. A first look at the day's news, weather, and sports.
Welcome. Violence and chaos loom in the City of Angels following the acquittals of 4 Los Angeles police officers in the Rodney King beating case. 8 people are now confirmed dead in the rioting that followed the not guilty verdicts for the 4 white officers on nearly all counts in the beating of King, a black motorist. California Governor Pete Wilson called out about 2,000 National Guardsmen. They are on alert right now in armories. The Highway Patrol was also called in to try and restore peace. Police have arrested at least 25 people. By midnight, they had arrested that many, and more than 100 have been injured, many of them beaten by angry mobs. One of the injured is a firefighter who was hit by a sniper's bullet. Los Angeles Fire Chief Donald Manning said earlier a man brandishing an AK-47 machine gun kept a group of firefighters from extinguishing a blaze at one location. But otherwise, firefighters have been able to tackle the blazes. At last word, more than 40 of them were still burning. Rioting broke out in black neighborhoods in south central Los Angeles and the downtown area, despite appeals for calm from Mayor Tom Bradley and Governor Wilson. Mobs roamed city streets, burning buildings, trees, and lawns, and some 700 firefighters are trying to put out the scores of fires still burning. At last word, as I said, 40 of them. Planes coming into the Los Angeles International Airport had to be rerouted because of the thick smoke. Mobs also smashed windows, looted and vandalized stores, and dragged motorists from their cars. Mayor Bradley has imposed a dusk to dawn curfew. He also has imposed limits on the sale of gasoline to prevent firebombing and has banned the sale of guns and ammunition.
On the phone with us now from Los Angeles is CNN's Ann McDermott with the latest developments. Ann, I know you were on the streets for much of the morning, and now you've moved indoors?
Right now, we're in our live truck. We are heading to another location. We were scheduled to go live a short time ago, but we had to leave suddenly when a man, for some reason, entered our live truck and took a swing at our engineer, Mark Oswald, and then hit CNN's producer, Veronica McGregor, in the jaw. She was badly shaken and in some pain, but otherwise okay. Now, of course, it could have been a lot worse. As Patrick noted, there have been isolated cases of sniper fire. Lots of fires have been set this evening. A lot of looting in various pockets of the city. There is a curfew on now. Things do seem to be quieting down. Even looters and arsonists have seemed half asleep. Let me just note here that for many of the people in the neighborhoods where these disturbances are taking place, they are just as upset and angry about the violence as anyone else, and they are joining with city officials in asking for calm.
And can you give me any idea what types of buildings are being targeted? Some 40 fires are said to be burning. What types of areas are these in?
Well, these are, most of the buildings seem to be stores. In strip malls, we've had reports of grocery stores have been torched. Whatever happens to be in the area where people are upset. I've heard of video stores, a donut shop, a shoe store, a tire store. I haven't really heard of office buildings, but just small type shops in the neighborhood.
Shops where people would not likely be at this hour of the day.
That is correct. None of the injuries or deaths we have heard about have had related to any of these arsons.
All right, thank you, Ann. We'll be getting back to you later in the morning. And we have more perspective on what is happening in Los Angeles right now from CNN photographer Tom Larson, who has been out on the street shooting some video. And Tom, what was your sense for what was happening?
Well, it very much resembled a war zone. We drove through the area where the violence originally took place. yesterday afternoon. And as you can see here, it's just one fire after the next on each block. Burned down, looted stores and businesses everywhere. Still some people on the street, but only minimal looting that we saw. My partner Phil Weiner and I drove a few miles east through the area. Here you can see some of the burned out vehicles. Then we did a loop and went down and went west again, where we caught up with some other fires going on. There were a lot of police officers watching guard on the firemen. And here again is another fire with onlookers standing by.
Tom, one of the things that Patrick and I have noted in looking at the pictures coming in is the age of the people involved in the rioting, the looting. They seem on the younger side. Is there any idea at all as to who is coming out into the streets and whether they really know what they're protesting at this point, or whether they're just joining in a movement that seems to be going on?
Very young, most probably in their teens, young 20s, sort of caught up in the wave of the whole affair. They were mostly standing around and occasionally breaking into some stores and looting. There were some interrogations and arrests being made that we saw.
We're seeing a confrontation right now here between an officer and some folks, and it looked like the officer did have some control in that situation. Is that the sense that you've seen from your experience, that the officers are maintaining some sense of control in the city?
They would mostly stay within their vehicles with their riot gear on. On occasion, they would be out of their vehicles, fully armed, maybe talking with folks, interrogating them. I didn't see any actual arrests being made. We sort of feared getting out of our vehicle and hanging around in one place too long. Here you see another building fire. There were officers watching over these firemen.
The sense that I'm getting on this particular fire, the firefighters appear to be standing back and letting that particular building burn.
A lot of these, yes, it's true, a lot of these buildings were so fully engulfed that there was little they could do. They were undermanned to begin with. There's dozens and dozens of fires throughout the city. Here again is another officer watching over some firemen, and there was little they could do, just being undermanned to try to cover all these different fires.
And Tom, before we close, just your sense of the situation right now. Are things quieting? Do you expect more to happen at daybreak? What's your impression?
They have quieted down considerably, although again I'd say there are a lot of people still out on the street. Most have gone in. It is the weather is a little cooler, and that might be a factor. It's hard to say whether it'll spark up again in the morning.
Okay, thank you very much, Tom. That is CNN photographer Tom Larson, who has spent much of the night on the streets of Los Angeles. Patrick?
The jury in the Rodney King beating trial deadlocked on one count of excessive force against Officer Lawrence Powell. Now, a mistrial was declared on that charge, and a hearing is set for May 15th on whether to retry him. In Washington, the Justice Department says it will investigate to determine if the 4 officers should be charged with violating King's civil rights. And the Reverend Jesse Jackson says he will meet with Attorney General William Barr to urge federal intervention. 3 of the 4 officers are still on the force and face police department disciplinary hearings. Still ahead on Daybreak at 8 and almost 9 minutes after the hour right now. Valerie Voss will have the latest on the weather, and of course we will keep you updated on the latest situation in Los Angeles.
Daybreak continues right after this.
As far as we are concerned, the evidence was there. So when it went to trial, we had a feeling that something like this might happen. I wasn't prepared for a riot like this, but everybody has been talking in my neighborhood and around me about something like the Watts riot happening again, and it hasn't.
So I think it has to start within them, you know, within the society, within these people that are running things, basically. I think they have to change if they want us to change.
Recently, the International Motorsports Association held a decathlon, performance and control. Over 22 days, 7 cars competed in 10 events to determine which was best overall. It wasn't Acura or Volvo, nor Mercedes or Mazda, nor Lexus or BMW, but the Audi 100 V6. the IMSA Decathlon Gold Medal winner.
American Airlines announces a dramatic change that brings value back to business travel. Introducing the Anytime Fare, a 38% savings off our full coach fare. Available on any domestic flight. Any day. Anytime you fly, with no advance purchase required. This is not a sale. It's part of a new way of doing business from American Airlines, bringing value back to air travel.
Through the years, you've never let me down. You've turned my life around. The sweetest days I've found with you. Through the years.
From dishwashers to refrigerators, a KitchenAid will last.
Through the years.
For a limited time, selected KitchenAid models now come with some very special offers.
Through the years.
When important people have something to say, they say it on CNN. When today's newsmakers have a story to tell, they tell it on CNN. When world leaders have a point to make, they make it on CNN. Get in touch with the people shaping the news. Watch Evans and Novak.
I don't think we'd end up in a civil war. I think
Newsmaker Saturday.
Choice. It was a tough choice. I chose the Indiana National Guard.
Newsmaker Sunday. Every weekend when important people have something to say, they say it on CNN.
We'll be going to the weather momentarily, but just to update you on the situation in Los Angeles, things have calmed down considerably in the last couple of hours. However, a dusk to dawn curfew does remain in effect, and we will keep you updated on the very latest developments on the rioting and the aftermath of the Rodney King verdicts throughout the morning and throughout this hour of daybreak as well.
Valerie Voss has been keeping an eye on conditions at LAX as a result of the rioting, all the fires in the area. And Val, has there been any change on delays there?
Well, not so far, Cathy. In fact, that program just went into effect about an hour ago. They are saying that arrival delays into the Los Angeles International Airport will be 3 hours long. The aircraft, in fact, from other airports not even leaving for Los Angeles. Departure delays will run about an hour this morning. So if Los Angeles is a destination city or you're trying to get out of the city, expect to be patient in that situation. 100s through the southwestern U.S. today, 90s all the way up into the Dakotas and even southwestern Minnesota, where they will see probably 40s up across the northeast part of the state. It's going to be stormy as a result of that large contrast as well. Cooler through the northwest, 50s and 60s. Idaho saw some record highs yesterday, but they will probably be a great deal cooler than that today, about 20 degrees. Starting out cool on the East Coast, Atlantic City and Providence both reporting record lows, 60s and 70s south, 40s and 50s north in the east for today. The forecast weather map shows some rain showers that could even be snow by later today, upstate New York and on into Quebec. A few rain showers north or south central Canada. A few thunderstorms still lingering around Louisiana, where they produced some heavy rains yesterday. Rain showers in the northwest, windy conditions accompanying this frontal system. There is a high wind watch in effect for some sections of Utah. Winds gusting in the 50-mile-an-hour range, a good possibility for the day. Here's your forecast for today. Now for some cities we hope are close to you. More forecasts ahead this morning. Daybreak continues with Patrick Greenlaw and Mark McKay.
Valerie, thank you. Had the Admiral been playing, I'm sure that this would not have been a sweep in that series at all, or it certainly would have been a lot closer.
San Antonio would have played Phoenix a lot tougher, but you can't say it's a one-man game, but David Robinson's injury certainly did cause some problems for San Antonio, and for what it's worth, the Jerry Tarkanian era in San Antonio can now officially begin, because the Spurs' 1992 NBA playoff run is officially over. It came to an abrupt halt last night at home. Phoenix, with brooms in hand, swept San Antonio out in 3 straight games. David Robinson's consolation prize, winning the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year award Wednesday, but you can bet it did little to ease the pain from watching from the bench, although Antoine Carr did his best David Robinson impression last night. 20 points, 7 blocks as the Spurs led early, but here come the Suns. KJ to Tom Chambers for the big jam. Johnson with 11 assists, 22 points on the night. San Antonio stayed close in the fourth quarter. It's Trent Tucker with the big three-pointer. Spurs down by 5, but Jeff Hornacek answered with a three-pointer of his own. And that was it. Spurs lose to the Suns 101-92. Phoenix moves on, but not without a battle from the struggling Spurs.
They were trying to survive. Their backs were against the wall. And you know what happens when an animal's back's against the wall. You just have to come out and attack. And that's what they did. We were able to sustain it and keep our composure. I mean, I think that's the difference in this team than in previous years, is that we stayed composed. We knew that they would run their spell at some point, and then we just had to take care of our business in the next 3 quarters.
NHL playoffs last night. New York searching for an answer to oust the New Jersey Devils. Did they get it? Let's find out. Second period, Rangers go up 2-1 thanks to Ty Downey. He beats Chris Terreri, and it's the Rangers in control. But the Devils came back to tie it up. Zidane Seeger beating Mike Richter, 4-3 New Jersey. They add to the count as Claude Lemieux centers to Peter Stastny. He beats Richter on the short side. After this game, tempers flared. 118 penalty minutes were assessed, and it's possible that some of these players may be suspended and miss Game 7 in New York on Friday. Let's roll through all of Wednesday's scores. Returns to CNN next hour with the night in baseball and another impressive pitching performance from a New York Mets ace. Kathy?
Thanks, Mark. Coming up, reaction to the Rodney King verdicts, verbal outrage and street violence.
Available dual airbags and anti-lock brakes. Mercury offers them on Grand Marquis and Sable. And now, lease Mercury Sable. Sleek, responsive, comfortable, for a low payment of $299 a month. Or Mercury Grand Marquis, room for 6, V8 power, at just $399 a month. Mercury Sable and Grand Marquis, where savings and safety run side by side. All this and the quality of a Mercury.
Listen to this. Last month, I made a long-distance call from a payphone to the home office. The other day, I get a bill from some operator service company I've never even heard of for twice the AT&T price. Hey, what's going on here?
When you make a long-distance call and you don't hear AT&T after the... Hang up, dial 10-ATT-0, then the area code and number. You get the AT&T service you want and prices you expect.
You just gotta listen.
AT&T.
Block, 811. I've been waiting.
Yes, sir. Your breakfast is on the way.
It should have been here half an hour ago.
Sorry, sir. It'll be there any minute. What was that number again?
At Marriott, our priority is you. So your breakfast is guaranteed on time, or it's on us. Service, the ultimate luxury at Marriott.
The first time I switched pain relievers, it was from aspirin to Tylenol. Then recently, I switched again, from Tylenol acetaminophen to Advil. You see, I got these really pounding headaches, and I found Tylenol didn't always get rid of all the pain. So I tried Advil and found that for my really tough headaches, 2 Advil worked better than 2 extra-strength Tylenol tablets, better than extra-strength Tylenol caplets, better than Tylenol gel caps. For my tough headaches, Advil just works better. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
We'll have a curfew in place very shortly, and an end to gun sales, a ban on gun sales, ban on selling of gasoline except into a automobile tank. And as we move forward, I think we'll be able to get this thing under control, but it's going to take some time.
Our top story this morning, parts of Los Angeles are in chaos. A state of emergency has been declared in Los Angeles County. State police are patrolling and the National Guard is on alert to deal with rioting going on throughout the night. Violence broke out after 4 white Los Angeles police officers were found not guilty yesterday in the beating of black motorist Rodney King. Things are beginning to calm down in mostly black South Central Los Angeles, where most of the violence had occurred. At least 8 people have been killed. More than 100 others are injured. Arsonists set at least 3 dozen fires. Vandalism and looting are said to be widespread. After the acquittal verdict was announced, Rodney King's aunt had this reaction.
There's no justice here. And what are we doing? We're going back to 1819. We don't have no rights. We don't have no say. So, yeah, and my whole family's upset. Everyone's just raged.
In Washington last night, President Bush said the justice system has worked and he appealed for calm.
In other news, a House bank investigation is kicking into high gear as a special counsel gets his way. Last night, House members voted for a massive release of records from the scandal-ridden bank. Now, they will hand over microfilm copies of every check, even those of the 170 members who never wrote an overdraft. Some felt it was the only decision.
Alternative. There is no debate. Do the American people want the disclosure, the full disclosure? Do they want these records turned over to the special prosecutor? Yes is the overwhelming answer. Yes, and now is the time to do it.
Others say the council's demand for all the checks is a dangerous invasion of privacy.
What do you got to hide? A kid who goes to a psychiatrist, a relative with AIDS, a relative who you have to help support because he or she isn't making it, and maybe you don't want to make that public. Let me look at the payees of all of your checks, and I will know an awful lot about your private life.
The member of this institution does not have the right of the Fourth Amendment against unreasonable search and seizure. If this House is willing in the moment of political passion to set aside the very thing that we're sworn to uphold, then public opinion be damned.
And collectively, Democrats fear that the information from the lawmakers' personal checks will be leaked during this political campaign season. Surgeons at Loma Linda University Medical Center in California have discovered a way to reanimate or restart hearts in animals. Researchers say preliminary findings show that hearts in goats and lambs that sat lifeless for as long as 45 minutes have been successfully transplanted into other animals. If confirmed and deemed ethically and legally acceptable for testing in humans, researchers say the procedure could expand the supply of human hearts for organ transplantation.
Only one body has been recovered so far in the crash of an Air Force C-130 cargo plane Tuesday in a North Carolina lake. 9 Air Force crewmen were aboard that plane and there were no survivors. The C-130 was based at Pope Air Force Base in North Carolina. Divers have been hampered by murky waters in the lake. The president of Exxon's international division, Sidney Resso, disappeared under mysterious circumstances yesterday from his home in Morristown, New Jersey. Resso's car was found in his driveway with its motor running and the doors open about an hour and a half after he usually leaves for work. Police said kidnapping is a possibility.
23 and a half minutes after the hour right now. Rain and wind will replace the heat in parts of the west, but the heat just moves east. Valerie Voss is coming up with the latest weather developments.
And we'll also have the sports scores just ahead. Stay with us.
For those of you who have been reluctant to wear a hearing aid, Miracle Ear has more great news. If you have trouble hearing in noisy situations, the exciting Miracle Ear Clarifier may be your answer. The Clarifier features a special filter that automatically reduces background noise.
In a restaurant situation, it picks up the noises I want to hear, but the other noises are just moved off into the background.
If you or someone you know thinks they may be suffering from hearing loss, call Miracle Ear at this number and receive helpful information.
It really makes a lot of difference in your way of hearing and your way of life.
Call this number. Miracle Ear will send you a booklet on better hearing, plus a coupon for a free hearing test. Call today. Learn about all the good news from Miracle Ear.
A lot of people don't even know you got it, especially the one I got, the design that I got.
Call this number. Find out if Miracle Ear can help you.
Investors, accept this giant 2,000-page reference as a gift.
It brings you Value Line's new full-page research reports on 1,700 stocks and shows 100 top-ranked stocks for year-ahead price performance, plus 400 worst-ranked stocks to avoid now. And to stay ahead of the market, you'll receive 10 weeks of complete Value Line service, now only $55. Call 800-521-3436 now for Barron's Dictionary of Finance and Investment Terms as an extra bonus. 800-521-3436. Call now.
Good morning.
Are you tired of morning news shows that give you everything but the news?
Big events happening overseas, but first... Is your pet psychic? We'll find out.
Wake up to headline news for the latest news, business, and sports around the clock.
25.5 minutes after the hour right now. Once again, if you're going to fly into Los Angeles or you're expecting people coming from Los Angeles, you may want to check with your airline or your travel agent because of the rioting and the fires, there are delays there.
Valerie Voss joins us now with a look at the weather across the nation. Val?
Well, across the western U.S., big change in the northwest. Rain showers and windy conditions have brought cooler weather into that area, although a number of record highs will once again be broken through this area. The cold front that will continue to produce showers in the northwest has also produced some windy conditions and blowing dust in the San Joaquin Valley yesterday. There is a high wind watch in effect for parts of Utah. The rangeland fire danger in parts of Colorado very high because of dry, hot weather and now some winds to whip it around. We'll see showers and thunderstorms over the upper Midwest today as a warm air wars with cold. Showers and thunderstorms scattered through the northeast and still continuing over some parts of Louisiana. Here's your forecast for some cities we hope are close to you. As we mentioned earlier, air traffic destined to Los Angeles could be delayed as much as 3 hours. We'll have the complete business travel advisory at the top of the hour. Daybreak continues now. Cathy Marshall and Patrick Greenlaw.
Valerie, thank you. Also coming up on Daybreak at 8 Eastern, we'll have a live report from Los Angeles on the rioting in that city. Thanks for watching. I'm Patrick Greenlaw.
I'm Cathy Marshall. Let's go now to New York and Beverly Shook for a look at what's ahead on Business Day. Good morning, Beverly.
Thanks, Cathy. Patrick, the world's largest computer company and the world's biggest entertainment company are reportedly talking joint venture. IBM and Time Warner considering a sort of marriage of hardware and software. We'll have the details. And no check-kiting cover-up on Capitol Hill. The House will turn over bank records to an independent counsel. Those stories and market news just ahead on Business Day.
I'm not exactly known for being subtle, so I told Sprint the phone card had too many complicated numbers. Well, they fixed that. The new phone card has fewer numbers to dial, and the card number is even based on my home number. So now it's a lot easier to use. Of course, they'll probably say it was all their idea.
Contact lens wearers. Now you can save up to 50% on the same brand lenses your doctor prescribed. Delivered by Federal Express from America's #1 shop-at-home contact lens service. Bausch & Lomb, Wesley Jessen, Seba, Johnson & Johnson, and all other brands. Daily wear, extended wear, tints, and disposable lenses. Join the thousands who are saving real money and time by ordering their contact lenses direct from Lens Express. For our free catalog, call 1-800-952-5600. That's 1-800-952-5600.
Coming up, Business Day, followed by Daybreak, after this local commercial break, here on CNN.
For well over a century, the finest sewing machines have carried the name Singer. But it hasn't been a name you could carry. Until now. Now everyone can carry the Singer Handy Stitch.
Handy Stitch is the most convenient sewing machine I've ever used. And it's a genuine Singer.
Just thread it in seconds and away you go. The durable chain stitch assures a clean, secure job every time. Nothing could be easier. There's no bobbin to wind, fuss with, or lose. Straight stitches, curved stitches, anything's a snap with Handy Stitch. And it goes anywhere you go.